This sheet is based on Tanya. Let's understand Achdus Hashem, the oneness of Hashem. When we say Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, what do we mean with Echad, that Hashem is one? According to Chassidus, there are three levels of understanding the oneness of Hashem. Level one is Echad, means one, which Chazal adds to Echad, Yuchad and Yichad, which means the one, the only one. Because people can make the mistake, Echad, I believe in the one. There is the one, and then there is another one, another one, another one. So that's why we had Yuchad. No, he is the one. There is no other one. Now the second level is understanding this Echad Yuchad on a deeper level, because there exists certain idol worships, or definitely in the past it existed, this concept of believing that there is one supreme leader, and under him there are smaller ones. We could understand it, the example of, let's say, a king, or today's days president. When you have a president, the United States president has a cabinet, Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of Treasury, Secretary of Homeland Security, and on and on and on. Each of those secretaries have their own power. And if somebody needs a favor, you don't necessarily have to go to the president. You go to one of the secretaries who's in charge of that field, and you can try getting the favor from the secretary. So yeah, the president can override them, the president can fire them, but they have powers to themselves given by the president. So it means there's one on top, and under that there are smaller ones. So some people are trying to believe that this is how the world is run. There's one supreme leader, and under that there are smaller ones. So let's say the sun is a power for itself, Chaz v'shalom, the moon is a power for itself, or other spiritual beings, or whatever it should be. That is called shituf, means partnership. And that is absolutely avodah zarah, definitely for a Jew. There are some poskim who believe that a goy is allowed to believe in shittus, but this is not the subject there. But for a Jew, this is 100% idol worship. And when we say Echad, Echad Yuchad and Yichad, means he is the one and there is no shituf. Now the third level is coming up in Kippur. We're saying V'chol Maminim, and one of those V'chol Maminims, we're saying V'chol Maminim shehi levado hu. In other words, Ein oid milvado. When we say V'chol Maminim shehu levado hu, that means that he is alone, who, and he is, and there's nothing else. Because some people could have a mistake of thinking, what does that mean that Hashem is alone? Shehi levadoi, ein oid milvadoi, that he's the only God. But that's not what ein oid milvadoi means. Ein oid milvadoi means there is nothing other than Hashem. He is alone, and there is nothing else other than him. Now, of course, you can ask me, what did I mean? There's nothing other than Hashem. You got here the table, you got my chair, I am me, I believe I'm very important, I'm VIP, and I believe you're also VIP, and you believe you're VIP, so there is other entities other than Hashem. What do I mean? Ein oid milvado. So to understand this, we say every day by Shachris, Hamachadesh b'tivoy, b'chol yom tumid, Maseh Bereshis, which this words mean God creates, he renews, not he creates, he renews every day what he created, Maseh Bereshis, in the beginning. to explain this, let's say a person takes a tree and cuts it off and turns it into a table. Now that person doesn't have to be by the table all the time in order the table should stay a table. He could go on in his life and that table will still be a table. He could even die, and hundreds of years later, after him, that table will still stand, still be a table. And the same thing, a person can take a piece of silver and turn it into a cup. And so on and so on. He could take any element and transform it into something different, and the person can go on in his life. He doesn't have to be next to that object in order to keep it, to stay that object, to that form. But by Hashem, that's not the way it is. When Hashem created something, He cannot just go away from that creation. He created something, and if He leaves that creation, even for 1 millisecond, not a second, a millisecond, then that creation turns into nothing. So when we say Mechadash B'tiva B'chol Yom Tov and Maaseh V'Reishis, what we mean to say is God keeps on recreating the world. B'chol Yom Tumit, every day, constantly. What does that mean? Because every second, the Chassidish Shurim tell us that every second God recreates the world. Because by nature, the world cannot exist. The world doesn't exist. The world is being existed. God is pushing in the world into existence because by nature, there's only one God, there's only one thing, one Hashem. So in order for Him to create, in order something to be, then He has to create it and recreate it constantly to push it into existence. Because the thing by itself doesn't exist. It's being pushed into existence. And I'll give you an example. Let's say you see a stone flying. You're standing by the window and you see a stone flying. You're going to say, oh look, the stones are flying stones? No. You're going to say, who's the idiot throwing that stones? Because the stone by nature is not a flying thing. It's a stable thing. And the only way a stone flies is because there's some force that made it fly. And while the stone is flying, you're not going to say, oh, the stone is a flying stone. You're going to say the stone is flying, but it's not a flying stone because by its nature it's not meant to fly. The same thing with the world. The world, by nature, cannot exist. It's the only way the world exists is because God pushes into existence. The same way the stone by nature stays in one place. And the only way a stone is flying is somebody or something causes it to fly. That's the way it flies. Otherwise it stays in one place. So the same way you understand this, you can understand that by nature everything is one. And if you create something else of that one, that means that one, the one has to keep on creating that thing. And give you a deeper example of a shadow. Let's say a person walks in the street and the sun is shining, so there will be a shadow following the person. Now, can that shadow proclaim its own identity? Can that shadow proclaim, oh look, I exist? It doesn't make any sense. A shadow is not an existing thing. A shadow is a reflection because there's a sun and an object, whether it's walking or standing, could be a bipole also shadow, then it reflects a shadow. One cloud covers the sun and the shadow is gone. The sun goes down and turns night, there is no shadow. A shadow doesn't have its own identity. It's mirror reflection. Or we can understand with a projector. Today's days we have slides or videos or even computers can be used. There's a projector and it's projecting on the wall images or videos. Now when you're seeing on that wall a picture, there is nothing there actually, because if you press the button, you turn it off, boom, the picture is gone in one split second. So can that picture proclaim its own identity? No, because it's not an existing thing. It's not even real. It's just projecting something, so it looks to us like there is something there. So to God, the world is nothing more than a projected image that keeps on being projected. And because we are not a thing for ourselves, because we are nothing more than a projected, it means we cannot proclaim our own identity. So now you can understand what means Einoid Mulvadle. There is nothing other than Hashem. Because everything there is because God makes it being. That means everything is Hashem. And I believe you all heard the term in Yiddish. There's definitely a song. It's all, it means in English, it's all Hevel Avolim, means it's all nothing. It's all shtusim. It's nonsense. The only thing is Einoid Mulvadoi. Now you can understand the saying, and where the saying comes is because of this. Because when you think about it, the world doesn't exist. The world is being existed. That means you could see people. People think, you see, this person owns 100 buildings in Manhattan, or he built this huge complex, and he owns this big factory, and this guy owns this, and this guy owns that, and he did this and he did that. But when you see, all of it is a creation of Hashem, and God has to keep on pushing it into creation, otherwise it will turn back into nothing. Then what is that? So you see, so the more you think about it, the more you realize that it's all Hevel Avolim, it's all nonsense, it's all nothing, not even nonsense, it's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. The only thing there is Hashem, the Eichad, the oneness of Hashem. And the more a person thinks about it, the more glorified a person is. Because when you think about it, that God keeps on pushing you into existence. That means you're very important. You're needed. Hashem needs you. Because why would He bother to push you into existence other than the fact that He needs you and you're very important and you're loved because you're part of Hashem. So that is something that actually brings a person to higher standards and elevates a person the more you think about it and the more you tune yourself into it. That means a person who is trying to proclaim his own identity like he is something is actually nothing, because in reality you cannot do it. You're like the shadow that will try to proclaim his own thing. But the more of a person says, no, I'm nothing, I'm an Eved Hashem, I'm a servant of Hashem, the more important and glorified you feel. So of course, a person cannot become from one day to the next completely just, Einoid Mulvadoi. You can't just go on, okay, now that I understand Einoid Mulvadoi, from now on I'm living only with that, and I'm dropping everything that is very extreme and a way that's never going to work, and it's very bad. But what we have to do is slowly take it day by day, start slowly more and more thinking about it and being more and more tuned into it, and fight with your Yetzer Hara, with your demon that keeps on trying to make you the illusion like, oh, go run after money, go run after this and everything else, thinking like all those things are real because he makes it look to you like it's real, but it's not. And be more tuned into Einoid Mulvadoi. And the more you'll tune yourself into it, the more you realize it, and the more glorified you feel, and slowly, maturely, you will get to the point to be fully into Einoid Mulvadoi, into Eichot, the Achdus of Hashem. Have a wonderful day.